within the room, and I have spoken with our other co-sponsors, and I believe that it is a very promising that we can work together for a combination of the working papers, which would address both the issues that have been brought forth by the delegates from Uganda, as well as the concerns of the nations who have been looking at the working paper that deals with AIDS. Both of them mentioned orphanages and dealing with the problem of children orphaned by AIDS. The delegate from Uganda has brought up multi-donor missions concerning AIDS, and I think that by working together that we can combine many of the social issues that are addressed in some of the amendments that I have proposed, as well as other nations have proposed, that would flow in the process of her resolution, and we could be quite well on our way to condensing our working papers and working towards a consensus resolution very quickly.
Are there any questions? Uganda?
To speak after.
Sure, yeah.
A few things that I wanted to address in this working paper. I know that Argentina and China had a question about number 5. I'm just going to read that out loud, and then you could maybe ask your question.
I'm sorry, Uganda working paper, which number?
Working paper number WP3, I think.
Okay, 3, great.
No, operative number 5. Recommends that the leaders of each nation where a multi-donor mission is proposed assume the position of chair of a national safe water commission comprised also of key ministers whose chief function would be to set broad policy and set high-level political support for a multi-sectoral program on safe water working with the multi-donor mission. Just to clarify, and I know I've already told some people, there is a difference between the Safe Water Mission and the Safe Water Commission. The Safe Water Mission would be comprised of UNDP, UNICEF, World Bank, the World Health Organization, the UN Population Fund, the UN Children's Fund, World Food Council, and any developed nations that have means of assistance. The commission is made up of leaders and representatives from your own country. Your commission would be responsible to appealing for the mission for any assistance that you deem necessary in your own nation. Therefore, your sovereignty is protected because your leaders are the ones deciding what programs you want to implement in the country, and you're going to a mission that already has all of the expertise, has funding. UNDP can lend education, UNICEF can lend problems on health care. These are all made available to your countries just by having your commission appeal to the mission.
Are there any questions?
The only thing that disturbs me about 5, it doesn't mean as much as in terms of on a world level. Some people may take offense at the fact that you are recommending that the leaders assume the position of a chair of a committee. And I think that gets into internal affairs, and probably there would be some objection to that. Maybe if you could not necessarily be so specific and say, hey, assume the position of chair of this committee, but the highest level of leadership be involved with.
Okay, we can look into changing that. The reason why I wrote that down is that the one commission that is already in progress in Uganda is headed up by President Museveni. And I mean, it's a tremendous success because obviously he is instrumental. Yes, it's at the highest possible level. And I mean, he's instrumental in implementing these programs within the country that he's taking responsibility for, which means that our country is taking responsibility for getting this done. And that's a big thing that Uganda likes to stress, is taking responsibility. And this allows you to take responsibility for your own countries. So even if we needed to change that as in leader, maybe we could put it down as, high-placed officials or leaders or something like that would work. If anyone else also has objections to it, let me know and we can work on something in that respect.
China, do you have a question?
How do you think that the world community could address the situations in countries that are not stable or that are currently have a crumbling infrastructure, such as some of the Eastern European nations that are currently undergoing so much stress? How can we address that?
In the respect to implementing this program, you mean?
Yeah, all these-
Nigeria had a
yeah.
question about that too, that it was talking about 35% as a starting base. I did know, and he still wasn't too keen on it, and I'll address that point in a minute, that it was starting with, but in no way remaining exclusive to countries with only 35% or less safe water. Nigeria would also like to see that expanded. I can understand where he's coming from. I'm still working on trying to figure out how I can word this, as in, it's not the lack of wells that's the problem in his country, it's the burden of overpopulation. Therefore, safe water is still not available due to overpopulation, but not due to the lack of availability of water, it's the lack of, it's the overburdening of the population that makes it unavailable. So I want to try to change it and incorporate it in some way, but I still think that we need some basis for a reference point. We can't just start out huge. I think we need some reference for a starting point. That way we can, it can grow and expand in a natural process. And the countries that start out implementing these procedures can go to, and also become part of the mission, go to the countries that are going to be implementing these on the secondary basis, going in and telling them what worked, what didn't work. So we can also work on an education basis, bringing in the developing countries to educate the other countries as well. So I mean, it's just a growing, it's going to expand outward.
Will you entertain one more question? Philippines? Ukraine?
Yes, I'd like to, you were speaking of overpopulation. Overpopulation is a problem, and I was curious to know what you would have to say and how you could address to the resolution, how that we could work with the education of mothers, of persons in developing nations, specifically in a resolution, and how could you work that out?
Okay, I don't know if you're trying to indicate specifically birth control methods.
I didn't say.
Okay, because we would not really work too much with like family planning or condom distribution or education in that sense, being predominantly Catholic, Protestant, and it just wouldn't really be something that we want to touch on too much. I mean, we can implement an educational program where it would stress the burden that overpopulation plays on a person's country, but I don't think we'd want to stress too much telling the people that they need to limit the amount of their offspring, how to do, either in how to do it or our wish for them to do it, because a lot of these people need as many children as they can to work on, say, their farms in the rural areas. The more children they have, the more productive that they are. So I mean, it's not a bad idea to have some sort of education program with the medical staff, but we'd really like to see it structured in this.
Thank you. I would just like to bring to your attention that working paper 4 was distributed, and from my understanding, the sponsors are working to incorporate it with one of the other 3 working papers, so don't pay too much attention to it as a whole, as it will be incorporated with another working paper. Okay?
Working paper for you.
Working paper 4 is on the right hand. I've tried to put WP 1, 2, 3, and 4 just so that we can know what we're talking about. Okay, not everyone received it, just separate blocks. If you could perhaps look over with a neighbor or share the copy. Would anyone else like to make a statement? China?
I wanted to address the Ukrainian and the Polish delegations as to the feasibility of some of the ideas expressed in working paper 4, or what they.
Working paper 4 is Ecuador.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Get your feedback on some of the ideas expressed, specifically the last 2 or 3 operative clauses.
We're just reading it also.
They're almost identical to the ones that contained in our working papers. So I think that there's a good possibility for consolidation here.
As long you mentioned the cholera disease that is right now in Southern America, like in Ecuador, cholera.
The cholera.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peru and yeah.
As long you mention that name, I won't have any problem.
Okay.
We are still
You see,
in
there
survey
are a lot
caucus,
of-
so if you would raise your classroom, screen.
I just wanted to kind of give you guys some ideas about what is already in effect. And I did research and found out that Dr. Nakajima, who's the WHO director, said that basically oral rehydration treatments are administered for less than 50 cents. There are lots and lots of programs that are already in effect to deal with a lot of the problems that are out there. I think the problem lies in getting the programs implemented, not the fact that there's a lack of funds or a lack of materials or a lack of supplies or even a lack of interest. I think it's just a matter of, I think we need to call upon the Secretary General to coordinate the efforts, or to develop a committee to coordinate the efforts. But let me just give you some information, okay? WHO identifies 4 major contributors to childhood death: insufficient health workers trained in treating the diseases, unawareness of the ultimate danger if the diseases are untreated. There again, I want to touch on the pay me now or pay me later idea. I can't stress strongly enough what preventive health care saves countries in terms of lack of productivity and just basic health care costs. For instance, and this is not a liver disease or kidney disease is not real prevalent in developing countries, but I'm giving you this as an example. Let's say that you're a hypertensive and you have high blood pressure. Okay, high blood pressure treatment runs roughly $100 to $200 a month. If it goes unchecked, you will surely develop nephrology problems, which are kidney-related diseases. And if you have to go on dialysis, that costs between $40,000 to $60,000 per year. So the cost to the state, provided that it's an indigent, civilian or citizen, you're talking about a tremendous rate. Can use cartoons to train or to educate not only children but the illiterate mothers of these children. See, the mother, we cannot ignore in the rights of the child what an important role the mothers play, because they have the strongest interaction with the children and the strongest control over the child's destiny and what happens to the child in their society. So keep all these things in mind is what I'm saying. And if you have any problems, or you think your country would have any problems specifically related to some of the ideas I have, then please let me know during informal caucus or address me now.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question directed at Ukraine or Austria concerning the working paper 1. If you look down on line 21, operative clause 2, it calls for greater research on preventing prenatal transmission of the virus of AIDS. I don't know if you have documentation on this, but as far as I know, due to research and everything, that's literally impossible due to that you are
I do have an article that addresses research done specifically at this moment in the United States, but that they're working on research as well, and that so little research has been done on specifically how AIDS is transmitted from mother to child, that no one is really sure how it's done. And there are children who are born to mothers who are test positive for HIV and AIDS who do not test positive for HIV and AIDS. And there has research been done that, and I have information on this research, where they believe that they are working towards the possibility or how they can determine specifically how it's transmitted from mother to child, and that there is a possibility that we can break that link between the mother and the child. And it's because, and we're calling upon greater research in this area because it has been neglected in the overall scheme of AIDS research.
China, do you have a question for Ukraine?
I just wanted to direct the questions to Romania. As you know, China has one
I'm
of the...
sorry, the question has to be directed to Ukraine, if Ukraine feels that someone else is more apt to answer the questions.
No, that's fine. I think though that,
The sponsors
Romania
of
had,
war.
Romania had a response to
I just
Sudan's
wanted to see if I could
question.
also address the question for Sheila.
China, go ahead, ask your question
To whoever.
to Romania,
Thank you.
being a sponsor of this particular.
I know that China has one of the highest literacy rates of any peoples developing or developed throughout the world. And we certainly welcome any kinds of people who are well versed on healthcare issues to offer us assistance. And as you know, we do have one of the best healthcare systems and daycare systems, and I'm hoping that we can possibly take some of our models that have worked for us and possibly implement them into your working paper. We're very concerned that sometimes countries, or many countries that have ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child, speak very eloquently and very flowingly of their need and their love of rights for children, while at the same time conducting aggressive wars or with civil disturbances that are occurring in a lot of Eastern European countries and countries throughout the world. So that I think that needs to be addressed, that while at the same time we have, there's somewhat of a double standard, we have a lot of focus on the rights of children at the same time that we're conducting large-scale wars of aggression against our own peoples within our own countries. So I think that can be addressed. And some of the preamps, how would you feel about that, the fact that that's happening?
I don't think, I as a sponsor of this would have no problem with that. Because we, in Romania, we are experiencing some internal strife, but that's only due to our former, communist type government. But since 1989, since Iliescu has been in control, we have made tremendous strides in reversing all the atrocities that he'd done in the field of healthcare and children. He had just the things that he had implemented, forcing people to, families to have children, and forcing weak babies to have blood transfusions. Just have a couple things to say. I'd like to further clarify for Sudan. I had a couple of people mention this. For clause 2 in the addressing operative clause 2 again. That I just want to further clarify that the research that we're suggesting or asking for in this clause is geared towards the prevention of the disease before it starts. With other diseases, there's so much money spent in trying to find a cure for the disease. Once the baby is born and it's infected, there's things being done to try to prolong the life and whatnot, and that's really ineffective right now. So what we're looking for through this is to prevent the actual transmission of the disease from the mother to the newborn, rather than spend money needlessly.
Sudan is.
France is really happy to hear that Romania is concerned about its people that are caught in a situation of violent struggle. And France would like to mention that we recently helped out the Kurdish people in a way by setting up corridors into the war-torn areas where many children were suffering from different healthcare issues and did not have access to adequate healthcare and immediate emergency aid that they needed. So France would like to, France is happy to help out any nations who are in the same situation, to set up these corridors whereby aid could flow through to the people who need it, and possibly the people who need to get out of there and to get into safe areas could do so.
Thank you. Ukraine, you have a question?
I would just like to remind France that UNICEF has a program that's specifically geared to emergency relief, particularly for mothers and children, and that might be something that that we need to be aware of. Natural disasters, civil strife, or epidemics, and so emergency relief is followed by long-range rehabilitation programs. So that's something that might need to be a good follow-up to any relief effort, would be to not only go in and provide the relief that's needed in an emergency situation, but to also come up with a plan for long-term rehabilitation for the country and its healthcare needs.
Sort of hinted about.
Sit right here. No, I will make an
They said no?
formal interview.
No,
Representing Poland.
No.
Ah,
Maybe later.
okay. So you tell me, try to prepare a good line, right?
Sure.
Alright? Autograph.
Yes, you can. You can leave your things in here.
Hey, Socrates. Say hi, buddy.
Sobre soy yo. ¡Ah! ¿Qué pasó? Me agarraste así. Me agarraste con las manos en la masa. ¿Qué más, güey? O sea, que te estaba llamando, era. Yo dije, Sócrates, vaina. Era el mes que no te hemos hecho.
This is the room that City College
Ponte ahí en la ventana
rent.
para que te vea. Ponte ahí para que te vea. En el espejo.
Yeah, that's a good one. This is the room that City College rent. Yeah, that's better. This is a room that City College rent for the
For 8 people. For 8 people.
for 8 people. City College are cheap. This room was rented for the UN mother.
They wanted to make that 3.
And
So it's
I had a
4.
good time.
You know, I agree.
Which ones? Which ones?
Let's go.
Hi there.
That's Carlos' friend.
Okay, say it.
Nah.
Introduce him.
The guy walking the corner, he was Carlos' friend.
He was, that's right.
Hey, what?
He was because it's over now.
Carlos, what committee are you in, man?
This is-
Okay,
this is
dábame a mí.
¿Qué es Sócrates?
Prueba de Sócrates ahí.
¿Qué tengo que hacer nada más?
Capaz que es lip singing.
¿Qué tengo que apretar nada?
Ahorita.
Solo viene aquí de una vez, ya está listo. Lip singing.
Aquí tenemos al merenguero.
¡Ey!
Lip singing.
Espérate, ¿cuál canción que tú quieres que te cante? Aquella. Si tú no me quieres, yo no sé qué voy a hacer. Si tú no me quieres, yo no sé qué voy a hacer. El que tú quieres, el pan que quieres, que me esté muriendo. Dios mío, suerte. Ahora vamos nosotros para el cuarto de la muchacha.
Ahí van los 3 mosqueteros.
Sí, los tenemos que tener, ¿no? Faltan como 5 más. Somos como 40 que estamos en ese cuarto metidos. ¿Eh?
Armando, ¿de verdad se fue a Cancún?
Sí, Armando se fue para Cancún ahí. Hubo uno que...
Bueno, como delegates, just wait Cancún.
Pero no se ve bien, no se está como un poco borroso.
¿Está borrosa? ¿O no? Tú tienes que hacerle close-up. Vaya, cuando te está muy borroso, tú le haces close-up y ya se compone.
¿Qué? Hubo uno que se ganó un pasaje y se fue para Cancún. Para que ustedes vean comer la vaina.
Pero habla como aquel, el de la televisión. ¡Para Cancún!
¿Para Cancún? No.
Delegate of Uganda.
Delegate of Ecuador.
Let me interview you. Where are you from?
I am from Western Massachusetts.
Yes? You did a good job over there.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
You did too. I loved your dubious award. I thought that was great. That was
You like it?
I did. I thought that was a riot.
Wow.
Making Spanish
I
the
was
official
so,
language. I
proud.
think that's great. That was
So you have to be in the speech tomorrow, right?
tomorrow, yeah, I'm just gonna read our proposal at the plenary.
You have the hard part now.
I'm sorry?
You have the hard part right now. I mean, you know,
Actually, I think that's probably easier than anything we've done. It's gonna be easier than anything we've done.
do you think?
Oh yeah. All I have to do is read it. I mean, everyone.
Oh,
has
you
come
have to
up with
read
a
it? You don't
word.
have to memorize?
No,
Oh, I
just
thought you have to memorize.
No, I just have to read it, and that's
Uh-huh.
gonna be a piece of cake. I mean, the work that went into it was what was hard, and we did a good job.
Yeah,
The whole commission, we did
yeah.
a good job.
In this the last resolution worked perfectly.
The what? Which one?
The one that you passed.
Oh, that I passed.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks.
Too bad that I didn't sponsor that one. Okay, see you. Are we going to get mug over here or what?
I don't know, but I'm getting scared. I'm getting scared, man. Let me come over here. My wallet. Where's my wallet? Take my wallet.
Esta tipa pasó una resolución de ella.
We were here,
¿Oíste?
but you were not. We were here, but you were not.
Ella pasó una
But you
resolución
were
de
not.
ella. Idea de ella.
¿Qué hora es? Y 25.
Six.
Yes. We're going to the room.
Women, we are here.
But the professor is supposed to be here.
We're in the room now. We are in the room.
Everybody are here.
Very good.
He said we'll be 14 or 7.
Okay, guys, stop it.
Yeah, but now we're going
No, please don't. No.
There's nobody else. You have a key, Lydia.
Wait, I gotta
No. Lydia, you have a key, Lydia.
Yeah.
Money.
Okay, cool.
To getting inside into the stranger's dark room. Into the Twilight Women's room. Hey, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, Guatemala?
Please, I'm not Guatemala.
No, no. Yeah, betray your country now. Deny your country.
Those guys are always
American. He's American. He's American.
Yeah, yeah.
He's American.
I speak the truth, man.
Se americanizó. Se
For the first
americanizó.
time in history, the United States
americanizaste,
supported a bloc against the Europeans.
Of course. They did it at Princeton in economics.
Yeah, but ours for development. Look.
No, but hey,
They're not.
Ya. Ya te me va a terminar para mí, no para él. ¿Tú quieres uno?
No, yo quiero.
Tú eres muy individualista si tú quieres uno.
Me gané ¿cómo se llama esa droga? ¿Qué es? Dubious. Un Dubious Award.
oh yeah. But what?
Let's change the working language.
How did you guys do? Oh yeah. I heard
Nothing.
that you had all these
What can
women
I do?
around you telling you, cambia este verbo. I can speak Spanish.
Yo soy ecuatoriano.
I have my
I hope it's not mine.
Take your word with
Carlos, ¿dónde está tu cara?
Let's go to Smith College.
Déjame sacar.
God, it's gonna be cheap. That's what they said.
Okay, we can all pitch in for travel expenses.
How much?
Georgia.
Smith.
With bus?
No,
How much? $40?
let's talk to the police.
These people have helped us. I hope that those of you who are now in the program, even if you don't continue on next year, and you're certainly welcome to do that, we should talk about if anyone is interested, that you feel free to participate in the ways that other veterans have participated. Now you have the insights that go with this program. I'm proud of all of you. I think you did terrific work. And,
I like that, huh?
who's that?
Nelson.
Is he coming down?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's the main thing that I want to say. I think that seeing you 3 weeks ago, I never would have guessed you would have done as well as you did at this point. Some people just really blossomed, I think, in this process. If you are interested in coming back next year, I will promise you 1 year's wisdom, a more rational process, and maybe some better insights on how to prepare for this. But that's not what
Hey, oh, you got my computer?
Good.
That notwithstanding, I think you did a terrific job, and you should all be very proud of yourselves. And I don't think in any way, shape, or form you have done anything except add to what is, after all, a very rich tradition at City College. And I encourage and invite you to continue to participate in this process in one way or another over the next couple of years. So that's basically all I have to say. I will see you all on Monday. Please tell people who didn't come here, who were busy, Nelson, Armando, if you see him, Sandra when she's out, those things. Tell them to meet with the class on Monday, and I'm very pleased. Congratulations, you have a good time tonight, rest up, and enjoy taking one less class for the rest of the semester. All right, see you on Monday.
How for the other class that we have?
Nah, this isn't the time to talk about the other
We have
classes.
to about the reading. How do I know what reading do what reading?
Oh, I see. Okay. We're doing for Monday of next week. We're doing the politics of heroin in Southeast Asia. Politics.